whether you're on the anxious side or the avoidance side, you can still be afraid of who I am is going to sabotage things. It's going to be not enough for someone. And that prevents you from asking for what you actually need.
We have another comment from Akia who said, I feel anxious when I don't have constant attention and I have a hard time communicating my needs.
It's a tough combo. Anxious and also trouble communicating that they're anxious. So it probably manifests in like this really anxious attachment or anxious avoidant attachment where it's like, I'm pissed off and angry and now I'm going to like run off and not explain why.
I think they go hand in hand a lot of the time, because if you're anxious anytime someone leaves your side or isn't giving you attention, there's, you're not just anxiously trying to get attention. You're anxious that you're going to lose it. You're anxious that they're going to abandon you. And what you don't want to do is give them more reasons to abandon you than you think they already have. And expressing your vulnerability and the things the needs you have is something that you might think is going to make you seem high maintenance. It might make you seem weak. It might make you seem unattractive. And so the last thing you want to do is give them more reasons to find you unattractive or to not want you or to ask for things, because you're worried that if you ask, again, that anxiety is, I'm not worthy, right? I don't want to, if I ask for something, then I might be too much for you. I'm only worthy when I'm doing everything you want, not when I ask for things I want. So that feeling of I'm anxious anytime they're not around or not texting me, but I'm too afraid to say it, is all part of the same thing.
Do you think in a way you can need less attention the more you get comfortable with just asking for what you want? Is the attention like a substitute for you just needing to feel a certainty? But in a way, if you can ask calmly for this is what I'd like, or I'd like us to talk for half an hour each night or whatever, maybe you need less in between that because you've been able to just communicate solidly, this is my expectation, this is what I want, and now I don't have to feel so
kind of like if you know dinner's coming tonight, you don't need to worry about constantly fretting about your hunger.
Right, it's always about food, isn't it? always. Actually, the holistic psychologist said something to that. She said, what showing love to anxiously attached people looks like, and it was a message which was like, hey, I'm really busy with work today, but just so you know, that's all it is. I'm not ignoring you. And I'll message you at 4:00 when I get out. And I think you're totally right. It's that sort of like, if you can exist, if you have these parameters in which this person isn't, because I think it's the story you build in your head when you're not getting the communication, which essentially is I'm going to get left, I'm not worthy, they don't love me, they're with someone else, whatever it might be. Whereas if you know that during this time it's nothing to do with you, they're just living their life and their other obligations and their other kind of commitments, then you worry less about it. And I think there's a lot to that, and being able to effectively communicate that is super important, right?
Yeah. No, I have the other issue where I'm often worried about people intruding too much on my space, and I know I can let a lot of that anxiety go away of, I'm feeling trapped. If I am able to go, hey, I'd really love to have space to do this tonight or this, then I'm not like so jittery and freaked out. Like someone's going to come and monopolize all my time, or someone's going to come and like try and trap me and make me do things I don't want to do. If I'm able to be like, I'd like this morning to do this, and then we will go and do that this afternoon.
Steve's the guy that's sent that message a bunch, that holistic psychologist. You just copy and paste that to everybody. I think you sent me that this morning. That was pretty rude.
It's kind of funny though, isn't it? Because you could be avoidant and still not having those conversations. And if you say, why does an avoidant not have those conversations? Like in the past, when you were in a place in your life where you wouldn't have that conversation, why do you think that was?
Partly some kind of learnt people-pleasing tendency and some nervousness that it would be taken as a kind of act of just coldness or unkindness.
But what's the thing you're afraid of in, like, what was the result that could happen because of those things that you were afraid
I
of?
suppose it was thinking, oh, now they're going to feel upset or angry all day, and like it's going to create a tension that we're going to then have to address. Like it's going to be taken, it's going to be taken the wrong way, and there's going to be an argument or tension.
Right.
And yeah, and a kind
Was there
of
ever a fear of this person's going to leave me if I communicate this? Like eventually they're just going to decide I'm not enough or I can't give enough? Or, I'm just curious. I'm not that's not intended to be
I think
leading.
there's definitely times where I felt nervous in the past about talking about certain boundaries or things I would like, for fear that they're going to think this is like, yeah, this is too much demand, or this is like, well, who are you to ask that? What, you don't want to like spend time with me? Well, screw you. Like, you know, that it's like, oh no, if I say that, it is going to rock the boat. And
it's just kind of interesting, isn't it? Because whether you're on the anxious side or the avoidance side, you can still be afraid of who I am is going to sabotage things. It's going to be not enough for someone. And that prevents you from asking for what you actually need. And it's a sad thing, because you can actually have a shot at getting what you need by communicating what would help you. And it's not about someone, I think, you know, we have to be careful in the conversations about attachment styles that it doesn't sound like communicating means that they have to meet all of your desires, because your desires are different from your needs, right? What you may want is different from what you need. You may want, thinking anxiously, to be texted every hour of the day, but what you need is structure. What you need is to know that someone, you know, that you're safe. And someone saying to you, hey, I'm really busy with meetings today, so I won't be very available, but I can't wait to speak to you after work, is a kind of structure. It's a kind of safety. I know where I stand with that. But when, you know, I actually think it's almost incumbent on us, whatever our attachment style is, to figure out what template can I give someone for how to alleviate certain things with me, so that they don't have to guess at it and read my mind. What template can I give them that isn't me asking them to, you know, respond to all of the worst permutations of my attachment style, but gives them a way of handling my attachment style that's healthy and gives me what I need to feel like I'm in a good place.
I love that. I actually want to add an extra layer, which is when you go out and approach that, having the conversation in the realm of, you know, when you do this, I feel like this, therefore it would be amazing if you could do this in order for me to not be triggered in those ways. But I appreciate you too have needs. So I want to hear as well what it is that you would like and where you feel that might be too much, so that we can come to a compromise. Because sometimes as well, I think when we have quite kind of all-consuming attachment style, we forget that we're also dealing with somebody else who also might have stuff, who also might have needs. And so if we're not taking the time, if we're only putting on them what we want from them, we're not necessarily taking the time to see what they want back from us. And the more they can communicate and you can communicate, I think it just creates this it brings you out in the open, right?
Yeah, and I think the more you communicate to someone, I'm looking out for your needs, the more that person can see you as a long-term partner. You relax because you go, oh, this person's they've got my needs. So I don't have to constantly be defending my needs because they've got them, they're taking them in their hands. It's that's a powerful thing.
I love that.
I see why people don't send that message though. Like, Steve, you might not send that message even though it's beautifully said, especially the way you said it, Matt, where it's just like, hey, I'm just getting out my meetings and been thinking about you, but just know I'm busy. There's a way to send that message and have it be really nice and compassionate and sweet. But even sending it there, you are putting yourself out there, and you're like almost putting a line in the sand and saying like, here's the needs that I can meet. And maybe it's not going to work. Like if you're still anxious after that message, that's kind of like, that's tough. Maybe we aren't actually compatible. So I think that's why people don't actually communicate it. Sometimes they're a little bit afraid to just put it out there. Like if it's a question mark, who knows? Maybe we can make it work. But if I just communicate thoroughly, then we're going to find out right away whether it's just going to actually work or not.
True.
Yeah. It's a great point. Hey, before you leave the video, if you are sick and tired of early dating never materializing into a real relationship, I have something for you. It's called the Momentum Texts. It is my most practical program for early dating, and it shows you specifically how to take any situation and move it to the next stage in early dating. You can get it for $7 by going to momentumtexts.com. Check it out. This will be a great investment for you if finding love is a priority for you this year. I'll see you there.